This is Rob for the MetalWorks. Welcome back, everybody, to the big program. It is a special evening tonight as we welcome back master guitarist Chris Broderick of the band Active Defiance. Sir, how has it been?
It's been awesome, you know. It's a tour that just started on the 1st of March. We started down in San Diego, and then we worked our way through Arizona and Las Vegas, and now we're here in Texas, man. It's awesome. And I think this is our first time playing San Antonio, so we're super excited. Yeah.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I said welcome back. You may not recall, but we interviewed you, our program did, in 2002 during your days with Jag Panzer.
Oh, wow.
In Austin.
That's a long time for a welcome back. That's almost another lifetime ago.
Might feel that way. I mean, obviously, because your career has just really, gone skyward. Lots of great things happening for you, and I'm so happy to hear about them, like we were talking off camera. But first of all, let's get started, because I think there's still fans out there who are coming on board with Active Defiance. They may know you and other members of the band, but...
No, it's absolutely true, because we actually, on my Facebook page, we Facebook Lived our first show in San Diego, and a lot of the people were like, wait, who is Chris playing with these days? It's like, so you think when you blast something out on the internet that everybody instantaneously knows, and it's just not the case. You have to kind of keep reiterating it, so that people that are more passive about, following you and stuff like that, they finally get the message. So that's what we're doing.
For those people, I mean, obviously, most people might recognize you from your Megadeth time. I have to ask, obviously, there was that point where you kind of decided, I'm going to leave this band, and Sean kind of followed you. Was Active Defiance already in the works by the time you had left Megadeth, or how soon afterwards did you guys decide to form Active Defiance? Or did you just say, we just want to just do our own thing, yet even though Active Defiance may not have yet been defined at that time?
Right. So, yeah, Active Defiance was not defined at that time. And it was actually Sean who left shortly before I did, but it was on the same day. And it was kind of, for the same reasons. I think we both were... felt like it was time to move on, and I had been personally considering moving on for some time. And when Sean left, I was thinking about it, and Dave was calling us to come in and start working on the next CD, and that's just something that you don't want to do if your heart's not into it. Imagine if you go in and you work on a CD and then you're like, all right, I'm out, and that's just not cool at all. So that was the right time for us to go, and we were talking, after that, just kind of like, well, wow, like, what do we do now, and we decided we had all this great music, and we were like, well, why don't we put something together? So that's how Active Defiance was formed. So
the debut for Active Defiance, the birth and the burial, people out there, for some of you who do not have it, came out in 2015. People were kind of anticipating it. They didn't know what to expect. That's now in the past. How do you feel about how the debut was received? How do you feel about all the kind of the road work that you did to support that record?
I feel really good about it. I think, for the time that we had to get it out, and that was more self-induced, timing, that Sean and I wanted to get it out as soon as possible. For the time that we had, I thought it was great. I thought it turned out awesome. We were trying to put together the music, find the label, create the band name, and the brand itself, and find members and all of that stuff. And so for everything that was going on, I thought it came out great.
So let's talk about the here and the now. In 2018, your latest record, the Sophomore, Old Scars, New Wounds, came out in September of last year. Obviously, this record is a progression. It seems like more fans are like, oh, okay, now this band is really kind of coming into its own. It was pretty kind of well known that, because you and Sean started this band, that you guys kind of did most of the writing for the first record. And then this second record, Henry and kind of Matt kind of got a little bit more involved. And how did that kind of help this piece of work become more robust?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. It definitely, you can hear our individuality in different songs, especially the songs that we each brought to the table. And to me, that's always a plus. You know, I hate it when I listen to a CD where it sounds like from one track to the next is the same song, or it could be the same song. So this really helps mitigate that kind of a problem, and it also puts more ears on the final product, which is another thing that we really did with this CD, where we took the time and each of us to listen to it and make suggestions concerning, you know, the structure of the song, you know, the direction of the chorus line, how heavy it was sung or how mellow it was sung, you know. All of those things where we really gave it a little extra time to polish it. So that's one thing that Old Scars, New Wounds really benefited from.
There's so many killer tracks on this record. Like Overexposure is one of my favorite. Broken Dialect, you open up that song just tremendously with your guitar playing on that one. God, it's so amazing to hear, and it just sounds so damn good. But, you know, as you kind of put this band together, you know, kind of Matt is from the East Coast. You have people from different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. How difficult was it to kind of write with everybody kind of all over the country?
You know, it's not that hard. I think it almost would occur the same way. Even though I do miss the days when we all would get into a room and jam together, you know, that kind of stuff you can come to a conclusion about certain things much more quickly that way than, you know,
having to send stuff.
Not only having to send it, but also to conceive of it yourself, write it, record it, then send it to them. Whereas if you're in a room together, you know, you kind of play through it a few times. No, let's do it this way. Let's try it. Yeah. Oh, okay. You know, it becomes that kind of thing. So the process may be a little bit quicker. But overall, I think that this is very similar to the way the writing process would go. Because we each brought our own individual songs to, you know, to the project. And then from there, once we had the songs chosen, we all developed them together. So, yeah.
So this record also kind of turned out to be a very technical affair on your behalf. Right. And I think, you know, fans kind of expect that from you. Right. You know, it's kind of like, if we're going to jam, we want to jam Chris Broderick and we want to jam some technical stuff. But initially that wasn't the plan.
No, not necessarily, because, you know, I wanted to feel like there are two reasons why I actually initially wanted to take it a little bit more mellow, because I guess the internet's never satisfied with you. So, you know, they're like, oh, you know, too many notes, So I'm like, all right, you know, maybe I'll take it easy on this one. And the second thing is, you know, I wanted to be able to get up on stage and just, you know, feel like, you know, not having to be so concentrated on what I'm doing. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, because, you know, just with the development of techniques that I wanted to do and the amalgamation of different techniques, I ended up writing stuff that, for me, I thought was very technically demanding. So you may see it tonight when there are points where I'm planted instead of running around. Right. You'll be like, all right, he's concentrating now. So, you know. So there's definitely a lot of insane techniques going on, and I hope people dig it, you know, regardless. So.
Do your bandmates dig it? Because like, oh shit, we got to keep up with Chris.
You know what? I don't know. I think they could care less about it, really. You know, they're more about the song and you know, just the overall song and big picture of the music. So, and I kind of like that, because I love playing fast. I love, you know, intricate playing, but at the end of the day, I want this music to be accessible. Right. You know,
lyrically, there's also, you know, there's the gamut of topics that you could discuss. There was, I think, some drug use, some anger issues. Yeah. One of the songs too, I think, was about not selling out. Right. So, you know, talk a little bit about that. I think that was interesting because, you know, in our industry, you know, the heavy metal industry, you know, there is that fine line between kind of trying to be too accessible and alienating those people who love you for where you came from. Right. And in your case, you know, back, you know, with Jag Panzer and the brutality of that. But talk a little bit about lyrically, holistically. Is there kind of a theme that you would say this is kind of what we're trying to portray with this record?
No. No.
All over the place, huh?
Yes, yeah. So it has It has nothing to do with any particular direction or any overall writing, any overall concept or anything like that.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I have read some people say, is there some type of relation between the debut and the sophomore? Is that not true or true?
No, not true.
Not true. Okay.
Not true. I have a general consensus about what I like to write, and that is that I want to write something that people can instantly relate to, but in their own situation.
Right.
I don't like to write anything that's so specific to me that somebody feels like they're being told like a story, or that I'm like trying to take them on a very specific journey, because I think that's hard to be. It's hard to get people into that exact frame of mind, especially with something that's as short as a song, to be able to convey that kind of depth, So I love it when a song has meaning, but it has your meaning behind it. And by your, I mean the fans and anybody who listens to it. So.
And I'll add on to that, but depending on the type of fan too. You have your older, more mature, articulate metal fans, and then you have kind of the younger fans who are just kind of absorbing the surface stuff. They're not really getting into the deep end of what you're doing or what you're saying. They're just rocking out.
Let's not sell the youth short here.
I'm not a hater.
But they can get in and mosh, and at the same time think about the implications of the lyrics.
Yeah. Dave Otero produced this record, and when I heard he was kind of working on these songs because they sound great, on the stereo. Did he kind of just, once you guys put these songs together, recorded these tracks, did you guys just send him the tracks, or did he visit some of the different places where you guys were located to kind of work with you guys individually?
No, we sent him all the tracks.
Okay.
So yeah, and but the next CD that we do, I think we're going to be spending more time with him.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah,
because he's done some heavy stuff.
Absolutely.
And then because when I first found out that you guys were recording with him, I said, man, this guy has done some like really brutal stuff, and it was kind of Elysian.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was like, wow, this is really cool that these guys are keeping it with someone who is in that heaviness.
Absolutely, and he definitely found our sound, and I think he just made it sound awesome. Like I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would turn out as good as it did. So that was great.
You guys are headlining a tour now. It started March 3rd, I think. March 3rd or March 1st?
March 1st. Yeah.
And you're going through the 24th, so this entire month. How does it kind of feel to be kind of headlining your own shows now? Obviously, you're playing a little longer. What can fans expect who've been unable to catch a headlining show of Active Defiance?
You know what? I think the main thing is that with the last tour that we did, where we would headline, we didn't have, we had one CD out, and now that we have two, it's kind of nice because we have much more music to choose from now, and so we can kind of fine-tune, what we're going to go out and play live. But, all I can say is come out, and we will make you a part of the show. For me, the show is more about the fans and people going crazy and stuff like that than us up on stage. If anything, we're kind of like the director of the chaos, so...
And I would be remiss not to mention that our very own Texas boys are opening up this tour, Shattered Sun. For all you people out there who are going to watch this interview, be sure to catch this tour while you can. It's still early in the month, so you have a few more weeks to check it out. You guys have also done some really cool videos. I dig the videos. I like to watch you play guitar, of course. So these kind of videos have kind of been kind of performance videos. You did one for MIA and for Overexposure. Can we anticipate any more video work from you? Are you guys like recording any of these live shows or anything like that?
Not yet, but that's definitely going to be in the works. We're talking about maybe doing a lyric video, so that may be in the works coming up. And that may be in support of our next tour. So okay. We'll see. That's the idea that we have at the moment, and then we're going to see if we can get Metal Blade on board. Right. So yeah.
So let's talk about that. What would you like to happen for the band in 2018? What are your plans?
Well, the main thing, what the funny thing is, you talk about headlining shows, but we really want to get on a lot of support slots. That's where we feel we need to be right now.
Extra exposure.
Absolutely. You know, we need people to know about who we are and what the band represents. You know, even if maybe they know some of the individuals, they don't know what the band represents as a whole. And that's where we really want to get out there and show a lot of people. So.
Chris, let's turn the page a little bit. Obviously, you know, you as a guitar player have lots of fans. Okay, I'm one of them. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. You know, I was telling you off camera, I'm so excited to do this interview with you and to meet you. First of all, there's a lot of musicians who watch our program, so let's talk about your guitars. Okay, you used to be with Ibanez. People know that now. You're with Jackson. You have your Jackson Soloist out on the market already. Very nice, kind of Stratocaster looking guitar, but it has your own little vibe on it. Yep. But we were talking off camera about your new guitar. Some of you have seen it's the big fin with the little fin. We don't have a name for it yet.
I don't know. I would call it the Henry Impaler, because when I take that thing on tour, some of the small stages we play, Henry's almost bound to get one of those points, you know, somewhere.
Oh, God. Oh, okay.
So no, but I love the looks of that guitar. And the one thing is, you know, some of those pointy guitars, I've always had big problems playing because of the way they either force your body to go, you know, non-ergonomic and. Right. And so I really wanted to play with the design to see if I could get something that you could play sitting down, you could play standing up, that felt as comfortable as a Strat. And, you know, with the way I did the cutaways and the beveled edges and stuff, it's awesome. So it looks like walking, you know, like a walking scythe or something like that. But
battle axe.
Yeah, it just looks crazy, but it's totally playable, and I love it. So.
Share a little bit with the fans out there, the little insights you were sharing with me off camera about this guitar, this prototype that you have. It is a prototype, but what might guitar players in the future foresee in the market for this guitar?
So, well, I'm hoping that eventually Jackson will want to release it and produce it, and I don't know what that entails at the moment, but. The initial one that I have, if you've seen it, it's the white pointy guitar, and it was really initially just what they call a white wood prototype, which is where they don't even paint it. They cut it out, they get it all ready to go. They put you know, the tremolo and the pickups on it and everything, and then they let you play it to see if it's going to work for what you want. And you know, it worked so well. I asked them if they could just paint that one, and they did, which was awesome, and that's what I've been playing ever since. But I'm hoping that soon I'll be able to get more than just that one, and that other people will be able to get it as well.
Yeah. Very cool guitar. I'm going to show a picture of it during this interview so people know what we're talking about. You know, you have had quite a career. You know, you initially began with Jag Panzer, then you did your live run with Nevermore, your tenure with Megadeth. Yep. Now you're on your own with Active Defiance. My question is, you know, what did you take away from working with those other bands that you kind of remember or that you utilize now as you're doing your own band? Because you've worked with a lot of great musicians, you know, a lot of great personalities in music, and you know, I'm sure there's some things you said I like that, or maybe some things I don't like. That now that you're kind of managing and running your own band, what are some takeaways there? Share that.
You know, I think the biggest one overall that I learned was that. You know, I used to think it was all about this, only about this, which you and I get together and maybe it is, you know, like for guitarists, it's all about that. But for a lot of people, they go to see a band and they hopefully identify with the band and, you know, see the members and see their personalities and feel like they get to know them like they're, you know, and that was something that I never realized, you know, as I was, you know, earlier in my career. I was just like, oh, you know, either you're a good musician or you're not. And if you're good, people will come see you. But it's so much more about people going, you know, I really like the way he presents himself. I like, you know, those kinds of things.
The connection.
The connection, yeah. Yeah. And for me, that really helps too, because I really love it, like I said, when I go to play a show and the fans are actually a big part of the show, because you know, me, I always get a little nervous, a little anxious getting up on stage and stuff. And when I feel like the crowd is into it, then that just gets me that much more into it. So, nice. Yeah. So to me, it's that connection, really, that I didn't realize that really mattered, you know, and just allowing people to know who you are. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like this, like, you know, just doing interviews and stuff, you know, how much that matters.
Yeah. So, I mean, they get to see, you know, they like you for your playing, but they say, oh, I like who he is as a person too, as a human being.
And that stuff definitely matters, you know, because I've met bands and players that I've both, like, say I've met before I'd met a band, I didn't really like their music that much, and then all of a sudden I met them and I'm like, these guys are super cool, and next thing you know, I'm like really digging the music. It's such an interesting thing. And I've also had the opposite happen, and where I'm like, oh, I dig this music, and then, you know, the people are such assholes. It's like, fuck that band, you know.
Wow, you know, that's a great example of human psychology. I mean, it's I guess it's true all around. Chris Scott, thank you so much, sir, for giving us of yourself to the fans of San Antonio and around the world who will see this interview. Sir, before I let you go, just any last words, anything I missed that you want to share with the people out there who will watch this?
I just want to thank everybody for staying metal and going to see shows, you know, just enjoying, you know, the fact that they love metal in general, because it's one of those things where you see some of the culture today is so much about, you know, just seeing what's on the internet instead of actually being there and being a part of it. And that's something you can't get from the other side of a screen. You know, you can't be a part of a mosh pit. You can't be a part of a sing-along or anything like that, you know. So I want to thank all the metalheads out there that do that come to shows and want to be a part of it. So
thank you so much, Chris. Remember, everyone out there, the latest from the band is called Old Scars, New Wounds. It is out there. Be sure to look for it. As soon as you watch this interview, download it, jam it. It kicks ass. You saw the man, Chris Broderick, only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.